So what's the first step when your body feels like after 40, it's just falling apart? I mean, I can relate because in my mid 40s, my labs screamed early heart disease. And yet at 69, I flex on bodybuilding stages. So how did I get from there to here? It wasn't simple, and it required a lot of soul searching and a lot of hard work and a mindset shift. So let's get into it. When I was 46, I found myself in my doctor's office, and he was just shaking his head, looking at me over his half glasses, and just kind of saying, I don't know, Janet, you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, and you're borderline obese. These are all signs of early heart disease. And this is a problem. And here's a stack of prescriptions for you to take. And something in me just screamed out. I was angry. I was scared. I was confused. I thought of myself as a healthy person, albeit a little fluffy. So what was going on? I didn't even recognize this coming as a 46-year-old all of a sudden out of nowhere. And I said, no, I haven't given my body a chance. My little girl, Janet, in the back of my head said, you haven't given your body even a chance yet. How can you just launch into prescriptions? Because oftentimes, unfortunately, that's what the medical community goes to right away. I mean, they do work, but what do you learn about yourself in the process? And what if there's some things that you can do in the meantime before you resort to medication? So that's what I was out to find out. And I bargained with my doctor just to give me 6 months to pull myself together and to change my ways. And I could just see the look on his face like, oh boy, here we go. Another one making a bargain. And, okay, let's call her bluff. Okay, Janet, I want to see you in 6 months. Let's make the appointment right now. And you'd better come in, because I could tell he was not really believing that I could do it. And I went out to my car, and after crying for about 10 minutes and just letting all of the bottled up emotions out, then I was like, all right, this is where the rubber hits the road. And I hired a trainer. Now, that's not just the end all be all. Of course, there's many paths to get from sick to healthy, but that was the one I chose. So this is only my example, but I had a feeling that because I had so many bad habits that had piled up over the decades, that the chances were that I would renege. I would bail on myself. I would let myself off the hook. And so I knew that if I hired a trainer, I would have, at the very least, an accountability partner. And sure enough, that's exactly what I got. So the first step was hiring a trainer so I would keep my commitment. And it was hard. I mean, I had to go from not working out at all to 5 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I must have been out of my mind. And it wasn't easy. But I decided, okay, it's just for 6 months. I can do this. Let's see what happens. And so I just shifted my schedule around a little bit, went to bed a little bit earlier, and just started to slowly turn my life habits around to fit that commitment. Because I know my trainer would be sitting there looking at his watch waiting for me 3 days a week. And that's what made it happen for me to begin with. It wasn't the whole story, but it got me launched and got me fit so that 6 months later, when I went back to my doctor, all of my blood tests were in the safe range. And I had lost 38 pounds in 6 months just from exercising. I hadn't even touched my diet yet. So, of course, my weight reached a certain equilibrium, and that's where it stayed because, I don't have to tell you this, I needed to bring in a proper nutrition to support my hard work. And so it kind of went from there. So if I can give you a couple of practical takeaways from my story and from this overarching problem of what to do and you feel like your body is falling apart, go inside and really think about what you've been doing in an honest way and what needs to change. And then don't try to do everything all at once. So, number one, take a small piece and work on that, and then master that, and then add another one in, and then add another one in, so that you layer your success with your past success, and you have a lifestyle and a set of habits around what it is you're trying to do. Because if you start with everything, I need to run, I'm going to run a marathon. No, start with walking a mile, jogging a half a mile, then running a mile, and then adding to that. You can't just start out with a marathon, or you'll get hurt, or you'll be so exhausted you'll be discouraged. So the next takeaway would be find some support, either a friend or a small group of friends, or a coach or a trainer or some kind of expert to help you. Get a group around you that will support you to keep you going, because changing your mindset is a combination of habits that lead to feelings of success, and then having a group around you or a support system that doubly reinforces what you're trying to accomplish. So in summary, if your body is falling apart or you think it's falling apart after 40, your first step doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. In my next video, I'll share how do you start strength training when you feel weak and intimidated, because that is a very real thing. I had a trainer that helped me kind of be brave in the gym, in that bro situation, the muscle bros, so that I wouldn't feel ridiculous, silly, or intimidated. So I'll talk more about that in my next video. So come and join me.